So in this video, we are going to cover Unit 6, Specifications of Building Codes. Our learning objectives, what we want to be able to get out from this unit, is to be able to explain what's included in specifications and be able to explain why specifications are needed, and find a particular topic within specifications, and be able to understand how building code requirements impact the building process. Two different subjects there, one specifications and the other building code. The technical terms we want to take into consideration are ASTM International. They're like standards. They set standards and guidelines. Building codes, construction standards, Construction Specifications Institute. So building codes are created by a national institute for building codes, and then Construction Specification Institute, CSI, is also part of a numbering system. It's an institute that creates the master format, which is a numbering system. And the master format is broken up, has its specifications organized into divisions. That's the best way to look at it. The master format is a list of specifications broken up by divisions, and it's created by the Construction Standards Institute. Specifications are written statements that define the extent of work to be done. Right? They are what is not found in the blueprints or the plans, but are as equally, if not more important, because they provide the definition. They define the extent of the work, the type of the work, the materials, the quality, and such. They define the quality of work to be done. They include the materials to be used. So it's the written statement that defines quality, the material, and then any other drawings, supplemental drawings that might be required, say to be submitted in return, like shop drawings or welding plans, often called specs. All of these are often called specs. And specifications vary in length from a few pages to hundreds of pages. And they're prepared by individuals familiar with the building process, and they provide detailed information not shown on the drawing. And it's very important to not assume that all your information is merely provided on your drawings. Your drawings and your specifications, they go hand in hand, and they consist of and make up your actual construction documents, which are referred to in your contract. So specifications are important because they are part of your contract documents and have to do with the obligation that you may have as a contractor or a subcontractor contributing to this project. Use of specifications in constructions. It's for the owner, it's to define the quality of the work. For the architect, it's to define the materials, the process, and the installation procedures. For engineers, it's to define the industry standards and provide schedules. And for contractors, it's to make bids and define the scope of work. And for materials suppliers, it doesn't say, but for materials suppliers, it helps the contractors make bids. And for trades workers in the construction process. They also help the trades workers doing the project. It helps them build the project, right? It helps them know what material they're working with. It helps them to know what scope of work is to be done. And trade workers typically are working for the contractors, or the subcontractors. So the contents of specifications are used as contract requirements. They outline the what is this? Notional aspects. I'm not sure what that means. Outline the notional aspects: insurance, permit, inspection, and no technical. Contract requirements outline the no technical aspects. So things like insurance, permits, inspection, supervision, right? Specifications are saying that, in a project, we want to make sure that the owner is insured. They will say who's responsible for the building permits. They acknowledge that inspections must be adhered to and who the inspector might be. In commercial work or in governmental work, inspectors are hired. They're individuals that are hired by the owner but answer to the state architect in terms of inspection. And supervision is a requirement by the contractors, the subcontractor, the general contractor. So this is an example of a section. General allowance, general requirements is a section of specifications. And a section, this numbered section, allowances, will refer to the allowances that are allowed. So with summary, it'll say this section includes administration and procedural requirements governing allowances. Certain materials and equipment are specified in the contract document by allowances. Materials and equipment are specified. So it's where certain things are not necessarily specific in how much will be used or consumed, an allowance must be provided. So when it talks about equipment, it might be doing a certain amount of, you might be doing a certain amount of equipment work, and that equipment work could vary depending on procedures, how things are done, the weather, or materials that could be used. For example, you're going to be using tile in a bathroom, but you don't necessarily know the quality or the quality or the brand names of certain aspects of the tile. So you will provide an allowance to allow them to select what they want, and there'll be funding that's taken into consideration. An allowance is included in a bid to say that materials will be included in that bid, and an allowance towards that material that's not necessarily specified is provided. Structural, section 03 under concrete, it talks about part 2, products and the concrete material. So each material shall be the product of a single plant raw material source throughout the project. It's basically saying you're going to be buying your concrete from one concrete supplier. It's going to come from one plant, not 2 different factories, but one factory. And in terms of the setting the standard, it's saying that the cement must be of ASTM C150 type 1 or 2 gray and shall be consistent in color and presentation. So the cement must meet a standards requirement that's already established. Coarse aggregate ASTM C33, washed, hard, crushed, dark gray stone, maximum 3/4 size. More than likely, this spec saying that it is washed, that it's hard, it's crushed, it's dark gray stone, maximum size 3/4, meets this ASTM C33 standard. Because if you don't have a standard, then you could just get coarse aggregate. And what does that mean? So your specifications define what those mean. Now, we mentioned earlier that specifications are broken down into a certain format. That format established by the CSI, Construction Standard Institute, format is known as their master format, which is a format based on divisions. So the master format is a standard used to organize information, that information being your specifications. It's developed by the Construction Standards Institute, or CSI. So if you know your CSI codes, 0300 is concrete. And when you look at the numbering system is 6 digits, the first digit representing the level 1, second 2 digits level 2, and the second pair of digits level 3. So when you look at concrete, for example, 0301, it includes the 01, so it's going to a level 2 now. So it's not just concrete, it's the maintenance of concrete. And then, well, what about the maintenance of concrete? Well, 0110 tells us about the maintenance of concrete forming and accessories. 0120 tells us about maintenance and reinforcing. 0123 talks about stress and tendons. 0130.51 talks about cleaning and cast in place concrete. It's a level 4 title. All right, notice the level 4 title starts using decimal points. So level 1, 2, 3, all the way down to a level 4 starts to use decimal points. So here's an example of that format, right? A partial list, just broken down by the major divisions. Division 0 is procurement, contracting requirements. So if you're a bidder on this job, interested in bidding the job as a general contractor or the subcontractor, Division 0 is going to be setting those requirements, like qualification requirements, or submittal requirements, or date to submit your bid, and or site walk meetings, things that are required in order for you to qualify in order to bid on that job. 01 talks about general requirements, things that are expectations that are set for the job. Division 2 establishes the existing conditions of the building site. So you might have plans, or you might have previous specifications or information for notation for the existing building and its conditions. Division 3 is concrete. 4, masonry. 5 is metals. Some of these divisions now start to follow a breakdown based on their material. Division 6, woods, plastic, and composites. 7 being thermal and moisture protection. Division 8 starts talking about openings. Division 9 starts getting into finishes. 10, specialties. 11, equipment. Division 12 gets into furnishings. 13, special construction. 14, conveying equipment. So these are like moving equipment if in a factory setting or a warehouse, like conveyor belts. Division 21, fire suppression. 22, plumbing. 23, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. 26, electrical. Now we may have an electrical set of plans, right? An electrical might be part of an existing, it might be part of a architectural floor plan, electrical plan combined. But Division 26, if there's a specification manual, is going to explain about the electrical expectations. 27, about communications, that being television communications, internet communications, LAN, local area network, wiring, low voltage wiring, also closed circuit TV, another type of security electronics. Division 31, earthwork. Division 32, exterior work. So earthwork is where you would be referring to if it had to do with you driving your tractor and preparing the soil or preparing the site for concrete work, for example. Earthwork might get into the explanation of information that's necessary to prepare the building site. And it includes things like plot plans, the information that you would find on a plot plan. Division 32, exterior improvements. The improvements is something to an existing building, so this is probably more for remodel work. And 33 is utilities. Utilities being your gas utilities, your water utilities, your electrical utilities, and usually having to deal with utility companies, right? Bringing in the service to the property. So the way information is organized, specification documents are organized into section headings. Headings help the user find the information required to make estimates and also to construct the building. Typical sections in headings in specifications documents. So within documents, we should see these types of headings, like related documents, summary, related sections, definitions, references, description of work, quality assurance, submittals, special inspections, project conditions, products, execution, protection, maintenance, warranty, cleaning, and repairs. So every section may have some of these topics, if not all of the topics. So you'll start to notice a pattern. Like, for example, submittals. You might be required, often in your particular trade, say I'm a cabinet maker and I am providing bids on the architectural casework, which will include cabinetry, plastic laminate, countertops, and some other miscellaneous stuff. Okay? And as the bidder, I find that information in, I think, CSI section 06, which would be woods and plastics. Once you get into that section of woods and plastics, you'll find a category called submittals. And often what will be asked of the cabinet maker or someone who will be bidding on the casework, they'll be required to provide submittals. And what would they be submitting along with their bid? May be something like submitting a shop plan. Yes. What do they call it? not a shop plan. Oh, a shop drawing, which is a more detailed drawing than you would find in the normal blueprints. It is the drawing that the cabinet maker which would use by which they would build their cabinetry, and then share with the contractor what they're going to be receiving or what's going to be installed. So that's submittals. That's an example. You might be providing a warranty, right? You might be providing some sort of explanation about maintenance or cleaning. Typical sections and heading specifications documents, like related documents, drawings, insurance requirements, pay requirements. You as a builder might be performing work that is governmental work, public works project, and you must meet certain pay obligations in order to maintain your qualification as its employer. So you may have duties related to insurance or pay. Pay being a good example. There's a term used, prevailing wage. So it may, if it's a union type job, if it's not a union job, it would be a prevailing wage, and so you need to show proper documents that workers are getting paid the prevailing wage. Or other sections or definitions that are going to be, that you would see in a typical specifications heading. Definitions, for example, or related sections. You might have multiple trades working in a particular section, so they'll make reference to it here. So you may have to see something in electrical, even though it has to do with carpentry. They may see the relationship where the electrician and the carpenter need to work together in order to make the finished product work out. Some typical sections that we'll see in spec documents are like reference work, documents and standards from the industry, descriptions of the work, similar to a summary but with more detail, right? Better explanation. Qualities of assurance, like making sure that work is done by someone with years of experience, or has certifications, or has a level of expertise, or is going to provide you some samples or some mock-ups so you get some assurance of the quality, so you know what to expect before a big chunk of work gets done, right? You don't want to be paying for painting and finish work if the colors aren't the colors that you want, or if the quality of the wood and the material with the finish and the stain is not the way you expect. You want to see mock-ups or samples, or have some sort of pre-installation meetings, be able to go over with you, so that to ensure the assurance, to make sure that not only you get the quality, but you get that assurance. So there's a process that allows for things to happen in a certain way. Some more headings. Submittals, right? We spoke about it a second ago. More information about product and contractor's qualifications. So I may be setting the standards, and then I'm asking you as a contractor to provide me information. I may set the standard for the type of material, but you may have the option to go choose and select the company and the brand supplier of that material. Well, those companies provide what they call spec sheets. So the final product that you're going to be seeing, you may want to see product information on it. So you would a contractor would refer to their supplier, who would provide them a spec sheet for submittals with product information on it. So that you can say, okay, on your electrical fixtures, we're using Edmonton brand or Easton brand, the friendly user line, and then from that you'd have a card that has all their products on there, and you're going to be drawing from that list of products. And so you'd be returning or submitting something back to the owner, an acknowledgement of what you would expect to receive. Special inspections. In schoolwork, sometimes we see when we're doing public works projects, for example, school gyms is an example I can think of. School gyms where they install those bleacher systems that are folding bleachers. Special inspections have to be done on those bleachers because they need to have a certain level of quality, and so they will do inspections not only for the quality, the installation, the material, the installation, the workmanship, but they'll also make sure that it has the appropriate type of seating for accessibility, and those other requirements. So special inspections might be a requirement, not only by the state, or it may be something that's required by the owner. Project conditions, storage, layout, and access. So it's setting who's responsible for the storage of material once it's on site, being able to have access to material, being able to lay out your material, and who's responsible. Products, specifications of all products in the related work, or equal. So sometimes a specific product cannot be provided, but you can provide an alternate of equal value or quality. Sometimes you'll get told that certain products are not available, and they'll give you a submission of a product that's not of equal value. And so you have to have a way to verify if it's of equal value, because cheaper alternative products can be substituted, and you weren't expecting it. So your specifications help protect you against that. Execution, a written description of work installation, a hot and cold weather work performance. This is just saying under different conditions of the job that, for example, under hot days or cold days, that you have a plan in place to work under those types of conditions. A written description of your work installation. Some cases, they want to make sure that you follow and adhere to a certain process when it comes to installation. And protection, like who's responsible for, once you've delivered the material to the site, who's responsible for it until it's considered complete. Who's, as the subcontractor, my work is delivered to the site and it's not considered done until we have agreed that it's done. And up until that point, what if someone comes onto the job site and steals the material? Who's responsible? Maybe security protection is the responsibility of the owners. A maintenance plan. Maybe you are required to submit a maintenance program to owners, making sure that they're aware that products require maintenance. Letting the owners know that certain products have warranties, the length of those warranties, making sure that products are installed in compliance with the warranties so that owners are ensured that warranties, for example, a roof, you may purchase a roofing system that will provide a 50-year warranty for labors and material, or for material. And in order for a warranty to be qualified for that full term, it needs to be installed in accordance with that. So there are rules that say maybe inspections need to be performed to verify that the installation was done properly so that the manufacturer can assure that they're going to give it its 60-year warranty. So certain protocols must be followed so that owners are ensured their warranties. Remember that when an owner is purchasing a product, they're not just purchasing the product itself, they're purchasing the product and a warranty that comes along with it. So if you install the product improperly or don't follow the manufacturer's recommendations or requirements, then it's likely that the product may not be covered under warranty. And as a builder, then you would have failed to meet your contractual obligations. Cleaning and repairs when this type of work is necessary. Note, you are bidding a specified material, a specified specification section, or the entire building. It's recommended that you read and become familiar with the information included under general requirements and project conditions in the specs. Okay, so you're just saying, if you're bidding on cabinetry, you should still know what's in general requirements. You should still know what your project conditions are. Right? So it's common to hear material suppliers and subcontractors say they were required to perform something they did not include in the bid, and that was a significant amount, right? So being able to know what's expected of you in your general requirements and project conditions will let you know what additional cost you may need to take into consideration. Because if you bid on something, you're still going to be contractually obligated to perform under the conditions and on the general requirements, especially if you've signed a contract saying that you would follow that. First review of the table of contents. So yes, you want to be able to review table of contents and the entire specifications. Reading specifications. Find your topic or your area of interest and go to the topic in the specs, and then remember to review general conditions. So see, here's our general requirements, things that apply to everybody, summaries, allowances, alternates, payment procedures, project management coordination, construction process documentation, submittal procedures, lead requirements, checklists. So all of these subjects may be subject to you regardless of the trade you are. If you are doing concrete work, building foundation, general requirements apply to you. If you are the painting contractor, painting the building and doing the stains and the finish of the cabinetry, general requirements apply to you. So that's why it's important to know the general requirements, the general conditions, and be familiar with the specification documents. Building codes. So they are laws and standards specifying the requirements for building construction. They are the explanation why buildings are designed the way they are, way spaces, the sizes are established the way they are, because they're based on standards or laws. Building codes originally come from a set of recommendations that are adopted by a city or municipality, county or a city, and they're made into those local laws. You'll find that from city to city or from state to state, building codes may have a similarity. There are federal standards or codes or laws that are meant for the whole country, and then and they are in a set, what they call a sample set of building codes that get adopted at the national level, or they get adopted at the local level. And some codes can be more stringent. They may be related, but some can go to levels that are more detailed or more higher standard requirements, and some not so high. The model codes are a national building code. And then local building codes are ordinances stating the minimal standards for a given community. Right? So codes originally start out as a model, and then local building codes will adopt those model codes, and they'll include them in their ordinance. That's why they're laws. A law is like a local ordinance, or a local ordinance is a type of law stating minimum standards for a given community. So maybe you're in a higher fire community, something up in the forest. So maybe there's building regulations that help provide more stringent safety standards when it comes to fire prevention. Maybe you're in an area that is in a high flood zone, so you'll have standards for that particular community to help protect for the occurrence of flooding. Or maybe you are in a state like California that has the frequent occurrences of earthquakes. So local building codes will be adopted that may have higher standards or minimum standards for earthquake safety. So that's why I say in some instances they start out as model codes, but then local building or municipalities adopt those codes, turn them into laws. So you'll see similarity between one city and another, but then you'll see differences, and the differences is because each city has the right to improve or heighten the minimum standard. Safety and health standards are part of those building codes. So there are laws and standards specifying safety and health requirements while building the project. So OSHA, which is an Occupational Safety Hazards Administration, they provide standards to protect the health and welfare of workers or employees of companies. So being able to perform the work under building codes and safety standards are an important part of the building process. So building codes address the seismic design requirements. As I mentioned, seismic, when you hear that word seismic, we're talking about earthquake stuff. Electrical code requirements. Your state might want you to conserve energy, and when you build a new project, you may need to address some code requirements for electrical savings and energy efficiency. Building codes impact all aspects of the building design and the construction process. So become familiar with these requirements, or being familiar is important in all building projects. So you'll become familiar, I'm sure, with building codes, especially when it comes for where you're having to design something, because plans are usually designed to meet building standards or building codes. Although the builder is expected, in some cases dependent upon, but not always are they expected to know the building codes, as long as they're clearly stated in the blueprints, building plans. Green building codes. So green materials are healthier and safer. I don't necessarily know if that's true, but it's intended or expected that they are healthier and safer, or they're manufactured in a way that is healthier, or that they are safer or healthier to the environment. International Green Construction Code. They provide regulations that impact building on environment, and they promote sustainable construction practices. Sustainability is something that's key. If a material is sustainable, it means that you can use the material as much as is needed in that particular field, and it doesn't have an impact on the environment with regards to the waste. It's something that's sustainable. It's something that is repeatable. Whereas lumber, for example, we are limited in our amount of lumber. If you keep cutting down the forests, eventually you will run out of forest. So trees are grown in a way that they're sustainable, and recycling, for example, is something that is used to promote sustainability. So that's basically it. That's the bulk of the chapter. We have the test your knowledge, so I'll just take a couple of minutes. Let's see. No, so I will release the test your knowledge assignment, which you will download and fill out using your Bluebeam tool. Pretty self-explanatory. Test your knowledge is 28 questions. The first 25 have to do with matching. So of the different divisions, there's 33 divisions of CSI codes, and you're going to match the codes with the different trades or items of material being discussed. And then there's 3 questions, and you have to match the answers to those as well. Then also another assignment that you'll expect is activities 6.6-1. 6-1, you're going to download the document and answer the 20 questions using Bluebeam and your typewriter tool. 6.0. And in order to complete that assignment, the back pages of the section, so pages 101 through 104, it looks like, are what you will need to perform activity 6-1. So when you download 6-1, the questions are on the front section, and the supporting information for you to find your answers are in the back of 6-1. And you will use the typewriting tool in Bluebeam to write your answers. And then activity 6.2 is general notes for a residential building. Here you're going to refer to sheet 1 from the Sullivan Residential Building Plan. So in module 0, I have some plans for you to download. and it is the Sullivan Residential Building. So you'll need to refer to Module 0, Building Plans, where you'll see 0.1 Sullivan Residence. You'll download that so that you can answer the questions in 6.2. All right, so that basically is that for Unit 7. If you have any questions, just send me an email. Take care.